Who are we? If we can't protect them, who are we? You have to protect them. Promise me. You will protect them.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Film Bros Podcast. My name is Isaiah Lucas, and I am joined by my co-hosts.
Abraham
and Nick.
How you guys doing tonight?
I'm good.
I'm doing good too. How are you?
I'm doing well.
All right. Do you guys feel like you're in the Halloween mood?
To be honest, no.
Not really.
Me
No.
neither.
There, like
It doesn't feel like it's October.
it doesn't feel like it's Halloween. Yeah, or October. One, it was kind of hot today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe it's because where we live,
Yeah.
and like we don't see
No.
many leaves changing.
And I don't
Yeah.
really see a lot of houses decorated either.
Yeah, me either.
Like I go past, there's a street that I go past as I'm driving to work, and there's like 50 houses and just one of them.
Is
So-
decorated.
Yeah, but it's like kind of sloppy decoration. So I look at it, I'm like, ugh, you know. Usually I'm impressed by what people bring out, and this
Yeah,
one I'm just
yeah.
like, clean up, bro.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I haven't been feeling spookified.
Maybe that's just because we're getting older.
I don't know.
Honestly, probably.
The spirit's
I don't know.
lost.
I think so. I do think so.
I feel like Halloween is a kid spirit. A kid.
It is. I mean, I remember being hyped whenever it was Halloween because I got to go get candy.
Candy, all
Yeah.
about
And
the
I
candy.
got to dress up. I always thought it was fun dressing up.
Would you dress up for Halloween this year?
Maybe for like work.
Yeah, my work does something small like that too.
Yeah.
They're trying to get me to dress up as Abraham Lincoln. 'Cause
Isn't
my
that
name-
perfect for him?
Yes, and I said I would do it, only if I can have my head blown up.
My
Oh,
God,
no.
not where you work, man. You'll
Yeah, I
scare
think it'd be
people.
funny. That's the only
scare
way I'd
people.
do it.
You gotta have
My
it like a
the people at my office are wanting to do like a Disney theme costumes,
You'd be Prince Charming.
and like one of them is being Ursula, and like a couple other people are
okay.
doing like Disney costumes, and I'm like, there's no like Disney character that I want to be,
Be tomato.
and they're like, be Ryder from Tangled, and I'm like, no, I don't even like the movie. Like what? I don't know.
Mhm.
So I'm probably just gonna go as like Tony Soprano. Or
Oh,
something.
really?
Like, or like a polo and the leather jacket that I got. I'll slick my hair back, and I'll talk to people like Tony that whole day, and be like, "She, you didn't pay your bills here." Like talk with the lisp and everything. and-
Everyone's gonna be Disney, like all Disney stuff.
Imagine
I
it
guess.
just
That's what
curtsy
they're
to
saying.
him and he goes, "Hey, get the hell up, okay?"
Yeah. I'm gonna say, the whole orange juice scene in The Sopranos.
Oh yeah, the pulp.
Not this much. I like the one that says "Shump Hope." Walking around with that and some gabagool. But yeah. Yeah, it's safe to say that Halloween has definitely lost its luster for me as I've gotten older.
Yeah.
But it's been cool to like be there for my nieces and nephews and watch them have fun and like
Yeah.
take them alongside my brother and sister-in-law trick-or-treating, and you know, watching them not only get scared because it's funny to watch them get scared, but also to like watch them get excited about candy and you know, seeing other people in costume and stuff.
Yeah.
Like I just got a FaceTime call recently from my sister-in-law, and my nephew is dressing up as Sonic.
Is he really?
He's got like the full like suit, so it's like just the
Is
head.
he
cut
gonna
out.
paint his face too? Or
I
no?
told him, I was like, "Are you gonna paint your face blue?" And he said, "Yeah."
Really?
And so I was like, "If you do, that's gonna be real cool." And so
Yes.
he was talking. He just FaceTimed me with it on, and he was running around. And I was like, "Show me how fast you could go." And he's all running. It was funny.
Dude, do you ever remember like trying on shoes when you were little and be like, "Look how fast I can run with these on"?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, I feel like that was a universal
Yeah.
childhood experience.
Don't they make you like before we buy these? You got to do the run test. You got to
I
make
know.
sure you
I-
could
dude,
run
I
in the
remember-
shoe.
Yeah.
I remember, dude, I used to live off Payless shoes, but I remember
too.
running through Payless and
The
my-
BOGO, man.
Airwalks.
Airwalks, yeah.
DCs.
DC's.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm excited about Halloween to see my little siblings.
Okay.
That's what I'm excited about.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm in a spot though, like we're all in a spot where we can't give out candy.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, it'd be
So
so
it's-
weird to give out candy where we all live.
It's kind of it's a little, especially where I'm at. It's kind of
Yeah.
sketchy. They gotta like go up flights of stairs to get there. It's
Yeah. The past few years I've been going to my parents' house, and
that's a good little neighborhood. right
yeah,
there.
it's a good neighborhood to like pass out candy and stuff. And not only that, but just hang out with my family and
Yeah.
watch a Halloween movie that night as well and stuff. But
Yeah.
nonetheless, what horror movie are we talking about today?
We're talking about a crazy movie called A Quiet Place.
Yeah.
This movie's insane. It came out in that's the one thing I didn't get. 2019?
2018.
2018?
Mhm.
And it is fantastic. It was John Krasinski. It's one of the most like well-known facts about this is that it's John Krasinski who stars in it, but he also directed it.
Mm-hmm. He helped write it too.
Yeah, he helped write it, and it's obviously he's coming from The Office, which was a great hit, and to
Yeah.
see him do something a lot more serious and horror and themed is just a success, man. It's fantastic.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's always been a strange thing seeing him out of the role of Jim, because I grew up loving The Office, like being obsessed with
Jim
it.
Halpert.
And seeing him outside of that role is always like, it's kind of strange. But then I see a movie like this, or like how ripped he gets for Jack Reacher,
Mhm.
that like television like series that he's on with Prime, and I'm like, dude, this guy is no longer Jim Halpert. Like
Yeah.
he's trying to be a household name, and it's
Yeah.
kind of crazy.
And he always rocks that real thick, dense beard now.
Yeah.
So he
I think
looks-
about a movie that I watched with him a lot is 13 Hours.
13 hours.
It's about the attacks in Benghazi,
Oh, okay.
and it's insane. Like seeing him there compared to, like you said, The Office is a complete different character.
We watched a movie recently with him in it, and he was in the military too. Wasn't it Jarhead?
No.
He had like a
Yes,
small little role.
he was in Jarhead.
He has like small little tiny role.
I can't remember.
I think it was Jarhead.
Yeah, I think so too.
He was like he wore glasses in the.
Oh, that sounds familiar. Yes.
It was
Yeah.
like during the paintball scene or something, like before the paintball scene or thing. But yeah, he was in there.
Okay.
Yeah, he's good in this whole movie. I mean,
He really flexes his acting chops here too. And like I really am curious to see where he goes like further in his career as like a serious actor, because like I said, his acting chops are on full display here, and he is able to show a range of emotion without saying a word. And like that's good. If you can get to a point where you can do that, like on some like Ryan Gosling Drive level acting, where you can just act with your face. That's great acting.
You know you
in
got
my
That's
something.
when you
opinion,
made it.
You know?
yeah.
That's you
So.
got it. Yeah.
Yeah. Tell me about your guys' theater experience here, because we talked about it a little bit last week.
Yeah, I went and saw this in theaters when it was out with my mom. I remember, and I think we went and saw it at the Manchester in Fresno.
Okay.
And I had watched all the trailers and heard all the hype about it leading up to the film. And this is one of those theater experiences where, like, quite literally everybody in there was dead quiet.
Yes.
Like to the point where like people weren't even like eating snacks.
No.
Like-
Going the.
Yeah, there was no like there was no crinkling of wrapping paper or plastic or munching on popcorn or getting
was
to the
just-
last little bit of your soda. Like everyone was quiet and glued to the screen. And like it made jump scares that much more effective. It made the tension in the movie that much more effective. It made like the heart-wrenching moments that much more effective. Like it really was a phenomenal theater experience when I did watch it. And I remember walking out of it with my mom and being like, not only was the movie awesome, but like everybody was quiet and they
Yeah.
were like glued to the screen just as much as I was. Like it felt good knowing that everybody around me was kind of experiencing that same thing together,
They were
whether
just
or
like-
not they knew it.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, I remember that. I had that same exact experience, just being completely enthralled with the movie. and
Yeah.
having no sounds, no words, no nothing. It was. I think it fits perfectly.
Mm-hmm.
It was like it somehow communicated through like just visuals, through the title itself, that you're coming here and you're gonna experience the fear of silence, or just like silence in general, and how
Yeah.
comforting it can be, how uncomfortable it could be, how how it builds tension, how it releases it in some places. They do so much with so little.
Yeah.
And I remember walking out of it and feeling stunned and impressed.
Yeah.
So, what
Yeah,
about
I
you?
watched it in theaters too, and again, it's the same as you guys. It's everybody was glued to the screen, and it was dead silent. And I remember walking out of this and be like, I don't think I could ever survive, because I can't be quiet.
I
Yeah.
know.
I remember one of the things that really shocked me about the movie was whenever Evelyn like steps on the nail and just goes,
It doesn't scream.
yeah, like
She-
when she did that, I was like, that couldn't be me. Like I'm doing a Tom and Jerry, freaking scream, jumping up and down on the floor,
Yes.
doing all that. Like,
Dude.
it couldn't be me.
Just-
She's a powerful woman.
Yes, just the act of like releasing some gas.
Yeah.
I'm dead. Like,
oh yeah, dude. I'm turning. If I'm asleep, I'm turning the corner. I'm ripping.
yeah, I'm going.
There-
And then I'm get wrecked.
There were little things too where I was like, man, like what? Does
What
no one
about a
ever does
sneeze?
no one ever sneeze in this universe, or does no one ever cough?
Yeah.
Like, or if you do, like, are you doing it into your jacket and trying to muffle it as much as you can? Like, I don't know.
There's freaks out there who can sneeze without making a noise. They go. They sneeze
go,
without. Yeah, they go.
No.
And their
Yeah.
eyes almost pop out their skull. Have you
No,
ever seen it?
Yeah,
Yes.
It makes me terrified.
yeah.
But
I think it's funny. I've done it a couple times. It also kind of hurts though.
yeah, I feel like it would.
Yeah, it would suck because sneezing is like,
Cathartic. It feels good.
yeah, it feels good.
It does, man.
And whenever
I hate sneezing.
and whenever I do sneeze, I'm like, if you were to take that away from me and be like, maybe you get the sensation of sneezing, but you never get to feel it the way that you used to, I'd be like, oh, dude,
That sucks.
I'd take all the allergies away from me. Then I don't ever want to sneeze ever again.
Yeah. I get you. There's no
Y'all are
point.
weird.
Yeah.
I like it. Like when
Yeah.
I gotta do it, I'm like, all right. And then afterwards, I'm like, oh yeah. I needed that.
Yeah, definitely.
Weird. I hate sneezing.
Oh well, you can't do it in this universe, so
Yeah.
you're lucky.
Definitely.
It's streaming on Paramount Plus, which I thought was
Yes.
cool. Actually, both parts are.
Okay,
So part 1 and part 2 are both on Paramount Plus. If you want to
Alright.
watch that,
so check them out. I was also surprised to see that the film was rated PG-13.
it is. Yeah, there's not.
For some reason, I remember it being rated R or something like that. But
yeah, there's
but
some
I was
blood.
yeah, there was some
But not
blood
so
and
much.
stuff like that. But
No.
there's no language, nothing like that. Like
True.
and not only just like coarse language being spoken, but also signed or anything like that. But like, yeah, the film is like pretty. I mean, I wouldn't say it's wholesome, but like I would maybe say it's family friendly. Like if you're looking for like a sort of like, edge of your seat thriller, like or like a an attention grabber for an hour 30. And yeah, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it for what it was. I'm curious to see maybe where part 2 takes it, because now I also, when I was doing research about the film, saw that they're confirming a third one that's going to be coming out next year, but it's supposed to be a prequel entitled A Quiet Place Day One.
Day 1. Interesting. I wonder. I'm very curious. As I've seen number 2, I'm curious where they would take that.
Yeah.
But I had seen some people being upset that it's not called A Quiet Place, A Quieter Place, and The Quietest Place. People were like, "You missed your chance."
Yeah, that would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
I've never seen that.
Yeah. Oh, you haven't seen part 2?
Dude's somewhere else.
He's on the conversation earlier.
I haven't seen that.
It's late.
I meant to talk. I was talking about A Quiet Place, A Quieter Place, A Quietest Place.
Okay.
I've never seen that.
I was seeing people say stuff about that.
Okay.
Yeah, I recommend it. I think the best way to view this is to watch them both in order, like right after each other,
Okay.
because I can't remember when part 2 came out. I think it was
I think it was like 2020.
recently. I know it was only a couple years afterwards.
It
But
would probably be around like maybe 21 because of COVID.
Came out in 2020.
yeah, 2020.
Oh,
so
wow.
so about 2 years. And it leaves off. It feels like no time has passed between 2018 and 2020.
So I wonder if this is like one of the first films to like do the like straight to streaming thing.
Yeah,
You know,
no,
like
because
the bigger
I
budget
watched.
films.
Think I remember watching this one in theaters as well.
I think A Quiet Place 2
During
came
peak
out.
COVID
Yeah. I think it came out during COVID.
I think
in
I remember.
theaters.
Well, because COVID started happening around like
It was 2020.
but like in August,
Like
Mm.
stuff started shutting down.
Oh yeah.
and it
that's
wasn't
right.
until a couple months after.
Yeah, because it released.
I can't remember.
No way.
when.
What the
I might be just
Okay, I'm getting confused because it says release date is May 28th, 2021 USA.
Mm.
And then on the side over here it says just 2020.
I don't know.
I have no clue. Anyways, I suggest watch because they're both an hour and a half.
Mm.
3 hours.
And I watched the first one, loved it. I got about an hour in, so I'm 30 minutes left, but it feels like the exact like no time has passed.
Mm.
The exact same movie happened, like the exact same characters and motivations, and it just feels like that's how it should be. You know, like there shouldn't be a gap in between. You should just
Mhm.
kind of watch them together
Yeah.
because the characters are all the same and they still have
Mhm.
this same drive to save the world pretty
Yeah.
much.
I remember feeling that way about the first 2 John Wick films, and watching the first one and being like, dude, this was awesome. And then watching the second one immediately after and seeing that it picks up right where the first one left off. Like, and it's just starts with the chase. And I'm
Yeah.
like, this is sick. Like this feels like no time really passed. So I get what you're saying there.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I said, streaming on Paramount. We can get into it.
Yeah.
Spoilers.
Yeah, check it out if you haven't seen it. Again, streaming on Paramount Plus, and we are going to be talking about spoilers as per usual. So if you haven't seen the film, check it out. If you care about spoilers, pause the movie, go watch it, or if you don't care, continue listening and hear what we have to say about the film.
Yeah.
So you want to start us off with your first favorite scene?
Yeah, I will. Well, let me just say the synopsis of it's literally just a family called the Abbott family are living in a post-apocalyptic world, and it's a world where these creatures inhabit the world, and they can't make any noise. They got to be as silent as possible because these things have like superhuman hearing,
Yeah.
and
They're almost like clickers.
yeah, seriously,
Almost.
They're blind, but they can hear.
gosh, and they're
Their ears, they literally have an ear. Their head is an ear.
yeah, and they have impenetrable armor. They're insanely fast, they got like sharp claws and teeth, and just insanely deadly. And they're living in this world, and they have completely adapted. I think we started at day 89 of the events.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't quite know exactly what happens, but we know that it's day 89 of this post-apocalyptic event, and they have completely adapted to this new world.
Yeah.
They are, lining the streets with sand so they don't make noise when they walk. They have all kinds of they do sign language, not only to talk to their daughter, but to not verbally communicate.
Tell me that doesn't help in their benefit.
It does.
Mhm.
It does. And
Like-
it's so smart because they already know it to talk
Yeah.
to their daughter, so they're easily adjusting to this because they already know how to sign to each
So
other.
smart.
Mhm.
Awesome. But it's stuff like that. Like these characters, they have survived so long because they are head smart. They're street smart. They know exactly how to adapt, what they need to do to survive.
Mm-hmm.
And they're doing it. And it's smart. It's
Yeah,
great. I
it
love
is.
stories where the characters are intuitively understanding the rules of the universe.
Yeah.
Like quickly.
Mhm.
I think of World War Z. You
Yeah.
ever watch that movie?
Yes.
I thought that was so interesting because the guy, it's one of your stereotypical zombie movies, but
Mhm.
he's actually like doing the stuff humans would do.
Yeah.
You see them biting, so he puts magazines around his
Around his arms. and
bite
legs.
areas.
Yeah.
You know, he counts the amount of time it takes for them to turn, and once he does it, he's like, okay, I'm gonna count. Like,
Yeah.
it's the characters that are like forward thinking.
Mhm.
I really appreciate, and it really is intriguing to me.
Yeah.
And this movie is all about being in and
Yeah.
smart and knowing what to do.
Yes. And I think that it's kind of sad that we find movies like this and we're like, it's smart, because there's so many out there where nobody thinks these things through whenever they're writing, and everyone watches them and then they wonder like, oh, why did this movie suck, or why was this movie so subpar? And it just goes to show you that like a lot of thought and attention to detail will bring you a long way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you get that with this story.
Oh yeah.
And I think that's why I love the intro so much.
yeah, the intro is my first favorite scene.
Yeah, same here.
It is. Oh, it's so cool.
Yeah.
Because it brings us into this world perfectly. I even think there's a scene too where they're going into this
It's like an old
market.
like, grocery store.
Yeah,
Yeah.
grocery store to get the medicine that the boy needs.
Mhm.
And it's, as they're going in, dead silent, and you see kids kind of running through the stores and all
Just
that.
like the little pitter-pattering of feet. Just
Yes. Terrifying. You see the mom going to the medicine cabinet and just slowly reaching in and taking it out, trying not to shake the bottle. And you see all the chips on the, untouched. You see the toy there. Everything is being set up for the dramatic event to happen after. And it's so good.
yeah.
I really appreciate how they get started.
Imagine
Yeah, I
not
do
being
too.
able to eat a bag of chips because
Yeah, it would suck.
craving them.
Yeah, you could.
I'm a chips guy. It would suck.
You'd have to
Being
s-
able to see all those and be like, oh,
yeah, just,
And they're right
tell me
there.
I'm never going to be able to have Doritos Cool Ranch again? No.
You like the crispiest chips too, the kettle.
Yeah.
Those
Ket-
things be
Dude,
crunching.
yeah, that's true. Yeah, you're going to tell me I'll never get Kettle brand salt and vinegar chips again?
If I got
man.
told I wasn't getting an original Pringle, I'd be upset.
Mm.
Yeah.
You just gotta leave it on your tongue until it gets so
Disintegrates.
soft that you just can mush it.
Turns it, dude. Off topic, real quick. There was a video on TikTok. They made mashed potatoes out of 2 cans of Pringles.
Ew.
That can't be good.
I don't know about that one, bro.
That can't be good.
I think one of the things that I really do like about the intro here as well is that usually whenever we get these like post-apocalyptic movies or like apocalypse movies, like I think of like movies like I Am Legend
Yep.
or movies like World War Z or Zombieland, like any apocalypse movie. They always start off with showing you the catalyst event that like causes everything. And A Quiet Place doesn't do that.
Mm-mm.
It throws you right into the middle of it, and I like that it does that. I
Mhm.
like that we get brought into the middle of this invasion because we clearly get to see the rules of the universe within the first 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Easily.
Like, you recognize immediately there is no sound. People are tiptoeing around. People are trying to pick things up real carefully so as to not make noise. They're signing with one another. Whenever it gets to the point where the little boy wants to take the toy,
The dad-
Lee turns around
It's
and
like a
takes the
catastrophic event where he's like,
yeah, and he like turns around and takes the batteries out and then says, "No, too loud."
mm-hmm.
Like, we can immediately understand, like you had said, the parameters that this universe sets and the severity of making noise, because at this point we don't know what the creatures are, what will happen if they do. But like, even if something as small as like coughing or having that toy go off
Yeah.
feels like life or death
Yeah.
Mhm.
in this situation before we ever get introduced to the monsters. And I think it's done really well.
Yeah.
I really enjoy the way that they set this up. Even as far as like setting up, like establishing shots with, I'm forgetting the daughter's name. Regan.
Yes.
Getting establishing shots of Regan's like cochlear implants
Yep.
and seeing that she's deaf and, other things like just how meticulously crafted this universe is just within this first couple of 10 minutes
Mhm.
is perfect.
Yeah, there's scenes too. It's visual storytelling of that newspaper flapping in the wind, and
Yeah.
on it says like it's sound, or
Mhm.
they can hear us.
Yeah.
And it's communicating to us that sound is our number one enemy here.
Mm-hmm.
This is what we should not be, or this is why they're acting the way they are.
Right.
And it's subtleties like that really cue you into this world and what they're dealing with.
Yeah. And I even love to towards like when the title card rolls in.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whenever they come out of the grocery store, we recognize that they're walking on like a certain path that they've created. You mentioned the sand.
Right.
And like something as smart as that, like setting out a sand trail where you can walk on that, and then them showing them their feet walking across the sand and hearing how it muffles their footsteps, rather than walking on like twigs and leaves and concrete that are going to make noise when your feet slap against it.
Right.
Not wearing.
Do they even have shoes?
No,
on?
they're not even wearing shoes. They all go barefoot.
Yeah.
Like they know what to do, and it feels like these people are smart. Like
Yes.
they understand how they need to survive in the universe, like you had mentioned. And it feels like I'm actually watching somebody go through it that's real, and not like, oh, this is obviously a movie because this person's going to make some dumb decision or dumb choice or something like that. You don't get that here.
No.
Which I really enjoy.
Yeah, and it all I love that because when sound does happen, it's all very intuitive with the story. It's not like someone stubbed their toe and they're like, "Youch!" It's more like it's like an accident or something that's uncontrollable or stepping on a nail that accidentally pops up. It's all intuitive in the story.
Yeah.
It's not as silly as someone farting or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's great. I love the main driving force for guilt for these characters, how it starts.
Yeah, me too.
Tell me that this is not one of the most surprising ways to start a movie.
No,
Yeah,
it's-
With
this-
a kid.
I did not expect it because, again, you think of movies and you don't want to make people like sad. And the case, of course, killing a kid. Sorry, I'm saying it now. Killing a kid is gonna make people sad.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And putting it at the beginning of the movie
Is
was wild.
It's a surefire way to throw people off. That's for
Because
sure.
then that just leads your mind to so many different places to think, all right, this is going to drive this family a different direction because now they lost a kid for something that could have been preventable.
Yeah, and don't you think the daughter would be like,
Dude,
I gave him the thing to take.
I would.
It's my fault.
Yeah.
I could imagine her guilt in that moment. Especially because, and I hate it too, because the kid is, like, he even says, one of my favorite quotes is when he says, Rocket. Like, he's signing this and he's saying, Rocket, maybe that's how we'll escape
this
here.
place.
Yeah, maybe that's how we'll leave here. And I'm like, he's just a kid, a
Yeah.
naive kid who
Doesn't know
knows where they're at, but still wants to be a kid. He still wants to have this toy.
Mm-hmm.
So I hate that he takes the batteries too. I think to myself, you're an idiot. Why would you do that?
Yeah.
But I kind of sympathize with it too, because I'm like, it's a kid, It's
You don't know any better
He-
besides.
right.
Yeah.
And he makes a decision and he pays the price for it.
Yeah.
And dude, it blows my mind that they're walking and then you just see them all like in a straight path, like a line, and you see the kids stop and they're continuing going, and it's
You're in
you're
view
in
of
Reagan.
Reagan's view, and
Yeah.
she can't hear anything.
Yeah,
because
I love the sound design too with Reagan.
it's so. All you hear her cochlear implant just like a ringing. It's
Mhm.
not really sound. It's just like
It's like a
buzzing,
low,
like a
it's
hum.
a low hum.
Yeah, it's not any of the ambient noise
so
that we
she
hear.
doesn't
like-
know anything that's happening around her. She's literally just walking forward.
Yeah.
And then you see
and-
him go.
Oh, and then you see John Krasinski's character just go.
Yeah, he turns around and that's when it cuts to them and you hear the noise
Yes.
that's coming from the toy.
You already know. Without even seeing the thing, this kid is
Gone.
in danger.
Yeah.
And John Krasinski, being the dad he is, just freaking sprints towards it. And then you see the creature coming.
Yeah.
Tell me, did you think, when you watched it in theaters, do you remember, did you think the kid was going to make it?
No.
You thought he was going to die?
No,
I
as
thought there
soon
was
as
a slight chance.
as soon as I saw it, I was like, "Oh, he's done." And then whenever it happened, I was like, "They really did it! Like they really killed the kid in the first couple of minutes of the film. That's crazy."
It's crazy.
I didn't
Yeah.
expect him to die, but I also didn't expect him to die like this.
Yeah, got snatched.
He
He
really,
really got snatched.
Isn't that a smart way to introduce the monster as well?
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
because it shows exactly what they're capable of and what they just need to hear you. And and detect where you are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very clear threat.
It was just if they have a clear, like, I guess sound wave,
Mm-hmm.
then they know exactly where you are,
Yep.
and you're screwed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we get the title card, Quiet Place, and
Mhm.
it absolutely blew me away.
Yeah.
And I had to talk about it here.
Yeah, definitely. So my next favorite scene from there isn't until quite a bit into the movie. It's the river / waterfall scene.
I'm a little bit before that. And actually, my next favorite scene is you get to see this very, very intimate moment between Lee and Evelyn. And Lee is basically in the basement of their house, using what is it called?
I don't know. He's got like a magnifying glass with a soldering iron.
Yes. Oh, yes. I'm thinking about a different part. He's working on a cochlear implant for his daughter.
Mm-hmm.
He's trying to make it better so she can hear and understand.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like studying the ear
Yeah.
of what it would take for it to be better. And at this point, I'm assuming the kids are all asleep, and Evelyn's just doing things around the house, and she goes and she has headphones in and just like hugs on him, and so you get this moment where you see that she's pregnant.
Yeah. She's freaking pregnant.
And
Yeah,
you're
she's hanging up a what's it
Little-
called? A little thingy.
like a
wind
bit.
chime. No,
What is that called?
what's it?
It's not a wind chime.
No.
It's not a wind chime. I don't know why I
No.
said a wind chime.
What's it called? Where it goes like it does the little yeah.
I don't know
a
what it-
lullaby, a nursery thing, whatever.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
What the
We're on
name
the
of
right
it
track.
is.
We know what we're talking about.
They know.
Yes. And so you're like, shoot, like giving birth during this,
Mm-hmm.
one, crazy. But then you see her go down to the spot where he's just, and it looks like he's in peace, but he's also just so focused trying to get this fixed for his daughter. And again, you see them slowly dancing, and you don't hear nothing. You don't hear anything, and then you see her slip her one side of the earpiece or
And the
headphones too.
music swells.
And the music comes, and it's Harvest Moon, and
Yeah. Can't go wrong with Neil Young.
No, you
it's
cannot.
such a good song, and you just see this intimate moment of them in the midst of chaos,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just like a sigh of relief because you're like, finally, like you don't have to worry,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just, and I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I did too. That's one of my favorite scenes. I even like too. There's more visual storytelling of seeing the whiteboard and seeing like how many are there? Weaknesses? Question mark. How
Mhm.
many around here? 3 confirmed. And it's showing that he's really doing his due diligence, and you see all the radio setup and all that. So
Mhm.
it's more of that building up of a character that he's smart and trying to find a way out.
Yeah, even going as far as to like establish shots of their like little homestead that
Mhm.
they have, and like showing the system of like how they establish threats on the property.
Dude,
Oh, you with the
red
lights?
With the lights,
Yes.
and like showing that there are 2 different strands of lights on each side, and that the white lights are completely fine. Those are for
Normal.
normal days. White lights, normal nights or whatever. And then when later in the movie, whenever danger happens, the red lights get flicked on,
And you immediately know.
yeah, it's
That's-
good.
It's great.
It's good.
Again, and then something about red lights just make it so scary.
Yeah. I even think that there's a Neil Young lyric that says "red light means run."
Oh yeah. And right when he sees it, he runs.
Yeah. So maybe it's kind of fitting that he's the only song that is used throughout this movie, which is great.
Yeah. My next one is yours.
Okay.
Yeah, my next one is
I love this.
Yeah. So a little bit of context into the favorite scene that I have here. At this point in the film, I think it's like the next day, if I'm not mistaken.
yeah, it's literally
Yeah.
the next day.
But John Krasinski's character Lee gets up and decides that he's going to take his son Marcus to with him to show him some stuff, and Marcus is obviously very scared
Nervous,
and like
yeah.
doesn't want to do it because those things could be out there and they could get him.
Obviously, yeah.
And he's like, oh, no, I don't want to do this. I'm scared. And his mom is able to calm him down and say, your father is going to protect you. He will always protect you. And eventually gets him ready to go out with his dad. And while they're ready to go out, Regan comes up and she's like, I want to go with them. And she's like, no, you need to help your mom around here. And, maybe we could take you some other time, but not right now. And she's like, it's not fair. I don't want to do this. And, he tries to give her the cochlear implant that he's been working on and saying, like, I tried working on this. It might have it's a smaller frequency, so maybe we might get somewhere. Yeah, and she keeps telling him, like, it won't work.
It never works.
It never does. Stop. And eventually he kind of just, like, puts his head down and gives it to her and then lets her do what she wants with it and walks away. And eventually we follow Lee and Marcus go to this river. And there's a lot of, like, rushing water and sound happening here. And as they're getting over there, they have this moment where Lee kind of looks at him and says that we can make small sounds around here because there's all this noise with the river. It's going to block us out. Mm-hmm. So we can make small sounds here, and that's okay. And whenever he does it at first, he, like, Lee starts to talk a little bit, like, really quietly, and Marcus immediately is like, no, stop. And he's like, around here we'll be okay. We can make small sounds here because of the river. It's going to drown us out. And then it cuts to them going to this huge waterfall, and it, like, shows how loud it is and how just big it is, and it's just rushing over the side. And then he signs to him and says, like, over here we can make bigger noises. Yep. And then you see Lee's character go, woo! And, like, start yelling, and it freaks it, Marcus out a little bit, and he's like, no, we're fine here. We're going to be okay because of this waterfall. It's going to mask us. And he's like, try yelling. And then you see, Marcus try it, and then it cuts to the other side of the waterfall, and you can, hear just how drowned out they are.
Yeah, it's all the water.
Yeah.
Yeah, you literally cannot hear metal.
Yeah, it's great. And I just like watching this scene with them two together, and just not only Lee showing his son the ropes, so that way whenever they get older, he can take care of them.
Yeah.
But also, spending time with him and just showing him, like, listen, we don't always have to be afraid.
Mm-hmm.
There are moments where we can let our guard down in the right situations, and this is one of those situations.
Yeah.
And this scene is where we get, like, quite literally almost all of the spoken dialogue.
Yeah, 35 lines.
Yeah.
That's all there is.
Yeah, and I even seen something too that in the original screenplay, the writers only wanted one piece of spoken dialogue throughout the movie.
Jeez.
And they got it up to 35 with the film that we have now. But
okay.
Yeah, I also just really like the conversation that Marcus and Lee have with one another, where they talk about Marcus just
blame
kinda,
her.
Yeah, Marcus just kind of out of nowhere is like, do you blame Regan for what happened? And he kind of just says, like, no, I don't blame her. I don't blame anybody. It was no one's fault.
Right.
And then
He says,
Marcus says, like, she thinks it is. She thinks it's her fault.
yeah.
And
Doesn't he even ask him, like, do you love
yeah,
her?
do you love her? And he's like, of course I love her. And he has a line that broke my heart where Marcus tells him, if you love her, you should tell her that.
Mm.
And, like, that part was like, oh, dude.
Like,
that's
to the
so
point where she
heartbreaking.
doesn't know that you love her. That's what's hard.
That's what's hard.
Yeah.
And that's a piece that hit home for me. Was that, like, he would think that, like, his actions are speaking love to her, but to Regan, he is not physically saying it.
Mm.
So to her, she's like, well, he might not like me anymore because of what happened with my brother.
Yeah.
I killed my brother. I'm the reason why he died. I gave him that toy and all this other stuff. So
Yeah, I can't imagine the guilt.
yeah.
And there is a bit of tension between them too.
Mm-hmm.
It does feel like it's been going on because I think we start at 89 days and then it cuts to 400 and something days.
Mm-hmm.
So it's only been building up, and I can imagine Lee.
A good year's worth, yeah.
Yeah, I can imagine Lee being. I imagine it's hard for him to even express. He probably is, like, trying to bury it away, because imagine trying to think about your kid like that would be heartbreaking.
Yeah.
And I love this scene too. I love it even more when you think about it in parallel with the scene afterwards, where they just share this scream that is was once terrifying but is now safe and comforting and a way to be close to each other and also like be human.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're walking home and they go past this old man.
Yeah.
Dude, oh
When
my
you,
gosh.
When you like put in parallel the two screams that happen,
Yeah.
one being safe, this one being
Detrimental.
holy
Yeah.
this is gonna be insane.
Yeah.
And you see this old man standing over the body of this, it looks like his wife, dead
Mm-hmm.
by one of the creatures. And then you see John Krasinski like hide his son, and then he goes like he's about to lose it, and he's going like don't do anything.
Yeah.
And you just see the old man go
You go.
with his lips dude. And scream. And we know John picks up his kid and runs.
Mm-hmm.
And you see the thing come and
Yeah.
take him out, and the
Yeah.
kid is going, he's having to hold and it is a nail biter.
Yeah. Even the way that like Lee has his hand over Marcus's mouth, like it feels like
It's forceful.
like the weight
like-
of the world
You have to,
is on this kid's mouth.
even if you're hurting
like
him.
yeah, and he's just like
And you hear
it's good.
you hear the clicking
The little-
of the thing. Like
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
creepy. I feel like I'd be the kid in that situation, but you see the protective dad come back out, and
Mhm.
you feel for the old man because he just lost his wife. It's like
Yeah.
a way to commit suicide kind of thing. And
Yeah.
yeah, just comparing those two scenes side by side, I freaking loved it. I was like, that's so smart to show two different screams in two different scenarios and the
Yeah.
outcomes that come with it.
Yeah.
And I love how they're like also layering the tension too, because not only is Lee going through all this, you also see the daughter being pissed and taking her trip out to the grave, and then you see Evelyn doing laundry, and like she drops some. She's like picking the bag up. The bag catches on the nail. The nail. She doesn't know what's happening. She pulls it. The nail sticks up.
Yeah.
So that's gonna come back later. But I can't. Well, what happens to get a beast there? What do they call it? They should call him.
They don't name
monster?
them. They,
So
they just say creature.
So how did the beast get there?
Yes. Didn't she drop something?
Yes. So when she goes down there, she's walking down there and she has picture frames.
Yes.
And then she steps on the nail and
Yes.
drops them. The glass shatters. And then not only that, she has a nail go through her foot and she goes, "Oop!" Like right whenever it happens. And then afterwards she's sitting there. And like I love the shot of the foot like flat on the
You
board
see
so
the-
you know that nail
She
is,
went.
it's deep. And she has to like pull it out, and then right as she does, she's like
She's like holding her mouth
yeah,
closed
and like walks down, and you see like she's bleeding a lot.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of blood.
And
coming
her
from
water
her
just
foot.
broke at the same time.
Yeah.
Another thing, the layer of tension here is like how much worse could this get?
I
Yeah.
kind of feared too because we get a scene before she actually punctures her foot when she's in the bathtub, and there's blood running down because she's
That's got to be after,
That's
Is it
right?
after?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's after for sure.
Because she goes up from the basement to the upstairs.
Yes.
She does. Okay, excuse me. Well, then right after she gets her foot punctured, she goes in the bathroom and she's in the bathtub. I feared because when I watched this movie, I feared that the creature was able to smell the blood.
Mm.
We don't know.
Yeah, you
Because
don't.
we didn't get. I mean, obviously we don't know that much information.
Yeah.
But
She's smart too. Like when
She's
she's
that
in there
little
and she sets the timer, and the kitchen timer is like tick, 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 tick. And right as it goes off, she knows
goes.
I gotta go up the stairs immediately, dodge the nail that I just stepped on, and get up there. And then right as she gets up to that second, the level of the house, like the ground floor,
Right.
the doors are all open, which I think is another great attention to detail. Never closing doors because
Yeah.
that will make noise.
Yeah.
So having all of the doors open and then seeing another creature outside going
Dude.
scurrying by. So she's like, "Well, I can't go out there now because there's a creature outside. Only thing that I can do is go upstairs."
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now I got to go upstairs and get in the bathtub.
Yeah, not only is she having to deal with all this, but she's having contractions as
Yeah.
well. That she
She's
cannot
going-
make a noise.
Yeah, actively going into labor.
Dude,
And Emily Blunt,
The
her
way
acting,
Oh.
she's great.
she
She's
looks
phenomenal.
like she's in pain,
Yeah.
dude. Like with her forehead vein popping out
Mhm.
and her just like looking like she was in agony.
Yeah.
It completely sold.
Yeah.
I thought for sure she was having some hard pains.
Yeah. Definitely.
And she is strong. She is like the strongest
This
yeah.
person, man.
Yeah.
this whole
She's-
sequence is
yeah.
crazy.
That's
Because-
why when I say she's a powerful woman, like I watched these couple of scenes and I'm like, dude, I couldn't imagine.
Childbirth in and of itself
Is painful.
painful enough.
I could do it.
The fact that she's got a this guy.
You couldn't, dude.
I don't even want to tempt it because that
No,
just
me
looks
neither. Me
painful.
neither. Me neither.
Yeah.
I know I couldn't.
She has to do that.
Let's kick you in the balls a couple times and see how you handle
Yeah,
that.
even more.
Yeah.
Yeah, without even making a peep, I think is
Yeah.
freaking just.
Yeah.
And
Insane.
then we get to the scene when Lee and his son are coming back,
They see the lights.
and they see the lights, and they're like, "Oh shoot! Like what? Something's happening."
Red means run.
Red means run, and Lee tells Marcus, like, "All right, like this is your time to do. Like you got to do your part and help us out." And he goes, "Rockets,
Mm-hmm.
go!"
Isn't
turn
that
on."
Isn't that a
Mhm.
genius
so
idea?
s-
Yeah.
It's, again, and it's so smart because you have Evelyn who's struggling in the bathroom. She is literally about to die because of the creatures.
Yeah.
And then we don't know where Reagan's at. And now it's just up to freaking
No,
Mark-
Reagan
Well,
like
we-
packed a bag. They
Yeah.
don't know. The
yeah, well,
characters
they don't know. They don't know where she's at.
She like packed a bag and went to her brother's grave.
Right.
Yeah, she's just chilling.
Mm-hmm.
And then I thought it was so smart because I think this is when she pushes the baby. Is right when the fireworks go off.
She's like,
Yeah, and
And-
the sound of the fireworks bursting
Yes.
covers her.
covers her
Covers-
bursting.
Oh, sorry. It does. It does.
And so that's when I think she actually has the baby.
Oh yeah.
And Lee has a shotgun that he has hidden, and now he's able to use it within those minutes or seconds because the fireworks are masking.
I don't think he uses it.
He
does
doesn't.
it?
He doesn't.
He
use
doesn't
it.
need it.
The first time it gets fired is at the end.
Yep.
Is it
Yep.
just at the end?
Yeah.
Mhm. Because
Yeah.
the beast hear the
He
fireworks and
walks
run
in,
off.
Yeah, he walks in like prepared, I believe, to
But he doesn't use it.
do it, but he doesn't do it. And he does that slow walk up the stairs and kind of turns the corner, looks in the bathroom, and
Dude,
they
imagine the-
fake you out.
They do.
Yeah,
I love
because
it.
there's
I love
so
that
much
they do it.
blood.
It's a bro moment for me in
Is
the
it?
bro moment category.
Gosh,
but
did you think that they made it or no?
I knew that they did because I've seen it, but it's such a good way to fake the audience out. Where especially Lee not knowing where his wife is, but looking into the bathtub and seeing just blood all in the bathtub, he immediately thinks, my wife just got mauled by one of those things. And he reacts as such and starts like crying, but still trying to hold it together. And then we get a jump scare where her bloody handprint from the shower behind him goes boom and kind of pushes the shower door open. And she kind of like looks at him and shows that she has a baby now. And it's like cooing and all this stuff. And it's crazy.
Insane.
Mm-hmm.
The first thing I think of baby is crying.
Yes.
And
Well, yeah.
crying is something you cannot have in this
Yeah.
universe.
Yeah. I had read something too in the facts that they justified the baby not crying being due to like a premature birth. And like there's a way where like the certain color of blood whenever a woman has a premature birth is like because the placenta didn't like ripped early or something like that. And so like the baby hasn't like fully become accustomed to the outside world yet, so it still kind of like sort of feels like it's in the womb or
I
something
had
like that, so it
also
doesn't fully scream until it starts to get out, into the world and be adjusted to it. Then
and
it
then
starts
it gets
to cry.
shoved into the box.
Yeah, yeah, dude.
Yeah, I had read something a little bit like that too. I think it said that
Go to your room. It's just a freaking box.
Put
That's-
your oxygen mask on. The little tiny little thingy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You would think, okay, I'm thinking about like eugenics now. What if they had like a way to like if they had a surgeon remove the voice box? You think that'd be a genius idea? So even if they could,
Anytime I think of a voice box being removed, I think of the dog from Grown Ups
Yeah.
going.
Can someone kill that turkey?
Yeah.
I'm just thinking about it though. Like, it's kind of cruel, but adapt and overcome. You don't need it. What do you need to talk
Dude,
for?
tell me, electric vehicles wouldn't go hard.
You couldn't hear him.
You
Yeah.
couldn't hear 'em.
Except the ones now, because they automatically make you like do the whenever you drive,
So people can
so
hear.
people can actually hear it.
Otherwise, it's like
Unless you find a way to turn it off, then you're good. Because then you could just,
yeah. That's what I'm
be
talking about.
gliding. But yeah,
Baby.
Other
Baby's
than
going crazy.
that, my last favorite scene is Lee's demise.
Yep,
Yeah.
me too.
And this
That
was
is-
one that made me cry, man.
Yeah.
I remember it making me cry in theaters, and it still did its job here at home at streaming. And it not only made me cry, it made my wife cry as well, because this was her first time watching the movie.
This
Oh,
is her
really?
first time?
Yeah. And so she was hooked, like, the entire time, which was it felt good to be able to know that, like, I'm not the only one, And I don't know, you guys probably go through this where, like, you show somebody a movie and you, like, check to make sure they're paying attention.
Yeah.
If they
And,
are
like,
liking it,
if they're liking it, see if they're liking it, and it looked like she was, and it gave me that little bit of, like, all right, yeah, she's liking it like I am. That's perfect. And yeah, we're freaking crying
Good.
at this point, man, and it's such a tearjerker too, and
Yeah.
it's the only point in the film where Lee tells his daughter that he loves her, and I think it's at a point where she needed it the most.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's done so well too, where the kids are split up, and the kids are split up, and Lee is going out there trying to find them. He eventually does, and whenever he does, he hugs them and just asks them, "Are you guys okay? Are you fine?" And they're trying to make it back to the house, and as they're doing so, I think they hear one of the creatures. And they look over to the truck that Marcus always plays in,
Mhm.
and he tells them, "Go hide in the truck." And right as they start running away to go do so, the camera pans up, and we see that there's a creature above Lee, and he swipes down and slices his stomach. And while they're getting themselves into the truck, trying to do all this stuff, they start making noise. Or no,
yells, "Dad."
Marcus opens the door and screams, "Dad!"
Yeah.
And then shuts the door, and the creature immediately goes over there and starts trying to break into
slamming.
the truck and get in there and see whatever's in there, so that way it can have whatever it wants. And as that's happening, Lee gets up and he's bleeding from his side.
That score comes in.
Yeah, and this is the moment where everyone in their seat is crying.
Yeah.
He looks right at Reagan and he does, "I love," or no, what does he say? I think he point at himself?
He goes, I
love you.
And
And he goes, "I have always loved you." And she starts to kind of just stare at him, and then he lets out this yell. And
sacrificing himself.
yeah, he sacrifices
Like, and-
himself, and right as he does it, that creature looks up and yoink.
Dude.
And right as it's also the kid is smart again. He lets go of it's in
e-brake.
neutral already.
Yeah.
And he lets go of the e-brake and
And it just
rolls
rolls
all
downhill.
the way down to the house.
Yeah.
And they get away, and then obviously Lee dies, unfortunately. But
it's heartbreaking.
Yep.
And they frame it as like the timing of everything is just lining up perfectly, because as all of this is happening, the wife is waking up downstairs and she's going to the cameras and looking at them. And so not only
she's
is the
waking up because
kids,
of the water.
The water's later, I think, right? Oh no,
No.
No.
Yeah, the water's.
She's in
She's
the
waking up
basement.
because the water, and she hears it trickling.
You're right.
Yeah.
And then the candle goes out, and then she's like, "Oh shoot,
Wait, no,
yeah,
Mhm.
that is, huh?
yeah."
Yeah.
But then the
because then
cameras
one of-
were still working.
Yes.
Okay.
But she sees one of the things in the water.
Yeah,
And it goes
dude.
into
the
under.
Doesn't that make you freaked out?
Yeah, it freaks me out. I don't like it. I don't like it. I remember as a kid there was whenever PlayStation games were like every movie had a PlayStation game with it. There was one for King Kong, and it was like first-person shooter, but then it was also missions where you could play as King Kong and like smash stuff and fight dinosaurs and stuff. And there was a mission where you go to Skull Island, and there are specific parts where you had to go in water, and they never told you that there were creatures in the water that would come out at you, and you'd have to fight them. And like, it freaked me out so much as a kid, not being able to see where anything was, like under the water, and then it popping up out of nowhere and having to, try to take it out. That tapped in to that childhood fear.
Yeah,
right
when
there.
it sinks into that water, my pants are brown.
Yeah.
Pants are brown.
Yeah.
There's
Seriously.
it's so much more terrifying
Yeah.
to not know where it's at.
Yeah.
You
Well, then
cannot
it-
make a noise, and you don't even know where it's at.
Mhm.
And then you didn't even know they can be in water?
Yeah,
Yeah.
true.
That's just another adaptive thing for them.
Yeah.
It's true.
And then on top of that, the baby's box lid is open and it's
Yeah.
off.
There's so many layering pieces of it, just
Yeah.
stacking and
And
stacking.
then she can't make a noise when she tries to get in the water, so she has to tiptoe her toes in, barely submerge them.
Yeah, and she like barely escapes too. And it's just like time after again. You think they get down there, they're safe. It worked. Now there's water.
Mhm.
Now there's a creature. Now she's having to get the baby into the water. Now the crib's floating. Now like it's all of these things. Now Lee's dead. Now like all the kids are coming back. Like
Yeah.
there's so many just stacking tension that you can never release your breath.
Mhm.
It's almost like, how much worse can this get? Where are we going with this?
Yeah.
It's crazy just how many of like catastrophic events are going down.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Definitely.
Yeah, and I just the last thing I had was the ending.
Okay.
Because throughout the film we've seen the new cochlear implant like
Mhm.
giving her this weird like headache-ish
Frequency. Yeah.
feedback thing that's hurting her a lot, and but she doesn't realize that it's also hurting the
Yeah.
monster.
But
Yeah.
it only comes around when the monster comes near her.
Right.
Mhm.
And so I'm not, but that is crazy
Mm.
because I think they use it for the benefit.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
she's, I hate it too because it's hurting her and she turns it off.
Yeah.
And you think like that's your one line of defense and it's off. You just don't realize. And
Mhm.
we know what's
Yeah.
going on. And then they get down there at the basement and they're having to be quiet and all that. And it's again where it says like weaknesses, and she's getting this like this weird epiphany like, oh yeah, because it even happens whenever they're in the grain too.
Mhm.
So she's got some inklings, and then right as they're about to die, right when they need it most, she has it on and she's hurting, and the monster is like, the design of it is sick too.
Yeah.
It's like
When the face is going like,
Patches. Yeah. Yeah.
it's creepy, but I
Yeah.
love it. And then she gets the bright idea to put it against the amplifier,
Mhm.
and that thing, you get to see it actually die.
Yeah.
for once we see one die. Yeah.
Yeah. I wanted to hit on another tearjerker moment for me too, and it's a moment wherever Reagan actually finally gets to go down in the basement.
Yeah.
Because
notices-
throughout the whole movie, he's told her like, no, you can't go down there, and she's like, well, I'm not a kid, I'm not gonna mess anything up or touch anything,
Yeah.
and he's like, no, I don't want you down there, you don't need to be down there. And right at the end, like she has hesitancy about going up there, and it shows a shot of her like waiting,
Mhm.
and eventually she walks her way down there and sees that her dad has been working on like so many implants to
things.
try to see if they could somewhat get her to hear again.
Mhm.
And like grabs like 5 different hearing aids in her hands and kind of looks at her mom and starts to cry. And like I think it's that realization for her that like he truly did love me. He was trying his hardest to make things work for me. And her finally coming to that realization was a tearjerker for me too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, for sure.
but yeah, and then tell me it doesn't feel satisfying whenever she shoots that
Shoots
thing.
it?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
But doesn't she miss the first time?
No. So whenever
I'm
she puts
thinking
it
of
to
part
the
2.
she puts it to the amplifier.
I'm thinking of part 2.
Okay.
Okay, sorry.
She puts it to the amplifier and it like fries him for a little bit. Then he comes back,
Yes.
and right as he comes back, she freaking
yes.
lets
yes,
him
yes,
go.
yes, yes.
And then as he dies, she looks at the cameras and there's like 3 more of them just scurry into the house, and you're like, oh crap. And then they have this realization moment where they kind of look at one another, and she's like, pulls
I
it
got
off
one
again.
thing and you got one thing.
And then it cuts to black after Evelyn goes, and
Doesn't that
it's,
seem
it's
sick?
perfect. Yeah.
It's like a little gleam of hope.
Yeah. It's perfect.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
the end.
That's A Quiet Place. So if that's it for favorite scenes, we got any best quotes here? I mean, there's not a lot of dialogue.
no.
Obviously, the rocket, that's how we'll get away.
Mm-hmm.
And then I have the one, too, where Evelyn tells Lee, who are we if we can't protect them? Who are we? You have to protect them. Promise me you will protect them.
Yeah, I have that one too. And then the obvious, I love you. I've always loved you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolute classic.
All right, if that's it for best quotes, do we got any bra moments?
Yeah. In the beginning.
In the beginning.
In the beginning.
In the beginning.
The beginning.
Yeah. Yeah.
The.
What happens?
In the beginning, Reagan slides 50 feet on her knees to save the rocket ship from falling on the floor.
Yeah, she does.
And
Yeah.
dang,
Mm-hmm.
that's a bro moment too, because then you're again, it's tension because you're oh shoot, it's gonna fall. What's gonna happen? And then you see her save it. You're again, so you're if you don't know what's gonna happen,
Mhm.
you're what's gonna happen?
Right.
Yeah. My first one was the game of Monopoly.
Dude,
When they're
why
playing
are they
Monopoly.
playing that game?
Yeah,
Dropping the
first off,
lantern?
that's a board game that will induce rage like no other.
Yeah, you would see when he lands on the hotel or
Yeah.
whatever, and he's like,
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? Is what he's saying.
Yeah. But first off, seeing that they go as far as to replace all the pieces that will make noise with cloth little pieces, and then the hotels are now little red fuzzy balls and all this stuff. It's really smart. And it's a
Yeah.
way to keep kids engaged, but also reduce any sound that needs to be made.
Mm.
And so they're sitting there throwing the dice on blankets and all this stuff and playing. And right as Marcus sees that he lands on a hotel, he kind of gives his sister a look, and then she gets up real quick to, probably go get payment for her hotel rent or something. And right as she gets up, she knocks over a lantern and it smashes. And and then Lee, immediately grabs over and grabs blankets and starts trying to smother the
and
fire.
it's just
And then is listen and hear if any of them are coming.
yeah.
And right as we think that we're in the clear, something crashes, and everyone immediately is like,
I jumped
"Crap!
here.
One of them is here. We need to be quiet. Everyone just pay attention." And then keep hearing some stuff, and then all of a sudden something falls off the roof, and it shrieks as well. And then we look out the window and see that it's raccoons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're being careful for nothing, so
Yeah.
we think.
But even the tension here is just insane. And I really appreciated it from that aspect, and kind of the deflection that they give you
Yeah.
at the end.
I wanted to talk about this scene because if you're watching this for the first time, you get the sense that Lee doesn't really like Reagan. You think that because of what happened to their brother. And this actually kind of was another thing that could have sparked that.
Maybe reinforced it because
Yeah,
she
because
made
she
noise.
caused it,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
he was we could have died.
Mm-hmm.
So when I saw this scene, I was oh, I'm pissed off at you, dude.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
And then I obviously we see what happens, and it's okay, we're clear, but still, I wanted to talk about the scene because I feel people will think that this is another spark for it.
For sure. What'd you guys think about the raccoon scene when they get squanched?
I didn't expect it, bro.
It shows that there's a thing there, a beast there.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Another one was the obvious one for me, is the old guy screaming.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
old couple,
Yeah.
old guy,
And then obviously
the nail.
Evelyn going into labor and stepping on the nail. It's just an incredible use of tension throughout the whole film. And then I want to talk about Marcus coming back from doing the rockets and then seeing one of the creatures in the cornfield and then running and then just being I'm going to go into the corn and make as much noise as possible. I don't know,
Right.
have you guys ever ran in a cornfield?
it's loud.
It's so loud.
It's loud. There is so much rustling and all of this stuff, corn husk being thrown everywhere. It's loud.
Yeah.
And this guy is like, let me do the loudest thing possible
Yeah.
and go run into a tractor tire.
Yeah, he really knocks
He
himself
knocks
out.
himself
Yeah.
out.
Yeah. I all I put was homeboy running into the cornfield. And then I put a sub point. What is dude doing? Yeah, and then this is another point where we get to see that the creatures react to those high frequencies that come from the cochlear implants.
Dude, tell me how genius it is that like not only is she at a disadvantage, well she's at a disadvantage like extra because she can't even hear the surroundings. Like she
No.
can't even hear the clicking that will maybe cue you that the monster is there.
Mhm.
So she's just like chilling.
Yeah,
She
I
can't hear nothing. She's just chilling, and then
I love when this scene happens when it shows us from her perspective.
like what she's hearing.
What she hears nothing.
Yeah.
Just a hum, and you see the creature in the back kind of just emerging from the corn, and you can see Marcus like getting freaked,
You
and
wanna
that's
just
when
tell her like turn around.
yeah, and that's when she's kind of like,
It's
the
going-
frequency starts to go off, and then she kind of is like, oh man, this is crazy, and Marcus is seeing that, the creature is also doing something, and it's good.
Yeah.
It's definitely a good use of tension.
Yeah.
My last one is when they get to the corn silo and are like almost drowning in corn. That was wild.
Yeah, definitely.
So
My last one is seeing the other monsters running to the house after the shotgun blast.
So many. Because they only confirmed 3
Yeah.
that are there.
Yeah.
And then at the end, you see like 4.
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah. So
It's insane.
It's good
I
stuff.
enjoyed it. All right, if that's it for the bro moments, then let's move into facts with the bros.
Yeah. For the budget to make this movie, it actually kind of surprised me. It took $17 million to make this movie. Opening weekend, it made $50.2 million. Opening weekend.
Wow.
Gross for U.S. and Canada was $188 million, and worldwide it was $340.9 million.
Holy cow.
But opening weekend, it doubled its money.
That's crazy.
It just opening weekend, so that's crazy.
Yeah. It was a success for sure.
Yeah.
100%.
I'd also seen that this movie was Oscar nominated for
s-
best sound
Sound
editing.
design. Yeah.
Was it sound editing?
Yes.
I would 100% agree. I
Yeah.
think what they choose to do is fantastic.
Definitely. I'd also seen too that actor director John Krasinski, he had said that the single greatest compliment that he received regarding the film came from a tweet from Stephen King.
Yeah.
And Stephen King sent out a tweet on April 6th in 2018, and he said, "A Quiet Place is an extraordinary piece of work. Terrific acting, but the main thing is the silence and how it makes the camera's eyes open wide in a way few movies manage."
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty good praise.
And
If you can
Stephen
get
King's
something-
all about horror.
Yeah, if you can get praise like that from Stephen King, I think you're doing something right.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, 100%. We talked about this a little bit, but in the grocery store, there's a scene where everything's empty and it's just the chips, and that is because nobody wanted to take the risk of opening the bag and attract the monsters.
Yeah. World
That's
building is crazy.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Speaking of world building, there are actually real family photos of John Krasinski and Emily Blunt used in the movie.
Oh wow, really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
I thought that was wild. And their children.
Oh,
So it was
okay.
pictures of them and their children. I think the one on the cross, I think that's those ones,
Okay.
are like legit from their life.
From their wow.
Yeah.
Okay, that's pretty cool.
It was wild.
In regards to world building, we saw this done with Interstellar, where they like planted tons of corn and all
Yeah.
that stuff. But the filmmakers actually purchased 20 tons of corn here and hired local farmers to grow it for the film.
Are
so
you
that way they could
serious?
use it.
That's so cool, dude. That's like a story of everybody eats
Yeah.
because you're using local farmers, you know.
Yeah.
Shop local.
Yeah. I actually thought that this was pretty cool too. The actress that plays Regan, her name is Millicent Simmons, and she's actually deaf. And she's
Oh.
been deaf since her infancy. And it was due to some medication overdose that happened whenever she was a child.
Oh, shoot.
And this is her second film that she's ever been in, with a movie called Wonderstruck that came out the year prior being her first.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
That's a little bit more authentic too.
Yeah.
So,
One that I thought was pretty cool. It says day 473 of the invasion is October 3rd. This means the invasion started on June 17th, about 2 weeks before July 4th. So this explains why the Abbott family would have fireworks in their field.
Oh, I didn't even think of that.
Yeah, when I read that, I was like, big brain. That's so smart.
Yeah.
Wow, that's like mathematician type
Yeah.
stuff too.
Him talking about that stuff too kind of reminded me that whenever the child dies, it shows the cross that on his grave. It was from 2016 to 2020. Do we think it's a coincidence that stuff started to happen in 2020? Like the world went to crap in 2020?
After that,
Is that a coincidence?
Did they predict it?
I don't know.
Did they predict it?
I don't know.
It's crazy. If we were conspiracy theorists, we could maybe do something off that.
True.
But-
Imagine the title of that video when it clicks.
What would you call it?
How the Hollywood elite predicted COVID. Like
And you just see John Krasinski going,
No, just you just see his scream just.
"Oh, true."
Yeah.
And you put a little syringe in his neck, like the vaccine.
It's gonna. What is it?
I see it.
Yeah.
We're content.
Clickbait.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
This is another one that I thought was pretty cool, and this is kind of like a spoiler, but during the scenes when you're in the basement, you see multiple newspapers on the wall, and one of them is saying meteor hits Mexico with the force of a nuke, possibly indicating that those were the creatures that got to Earth.
They're extraterrestrial.
Ooh.
Yeah,
Sing
they
that
come
song,
from
please, Katy
space.
Perry.
No, I'm not. I'm just saying. Part 2.
Okay.
Watch part
I
2.
need to watch
Okay.
it then.
I had read that it was initially intended to leave the sign language unsubtitled.
Yeah, that would have made the film hard to follow.
I
Don't
probably
you
would have
think?
walked
Yeah.
out. I
They-
probably would have walked out if I couldn't understand what they're signing. Why am I gonna watch the movie?
I don't know.
Because not everybody knows sign language.
True. Well, they believed that the audience would understand the subtext behind the scenes.
Mm.
They only switched up their ideas whenever they got to the whole hearing aid scene,
Mm-hmm.
because it's a little too hard to really feel the gravity of what's going on there without words,
Yeah.
especially if you don't know sign language, because
Yeah.
you just see her going like you just see them moving, and if you don't know what they're saying, you're just
Yeah.
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 You know, and you maybe can get some words, but you
Yeah.
lose some of it.
You're doing the
They're going.
That's what I was thinking. He literally went
from the
"Oh,
wire.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So they
Yeah.
decided to have them all subtitled.
Okay. I had actually heard as well that for the first test screenings of the film, audience members actually laughed in scenes where the creature was present because during the test screenings, the CGI was the last thing to be worked on.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so the test screenings that the audience members saw, the CGI wasn't present. So they would either see either nothing at all, like being chased by somebody,
Ooh.
or John Krasinski in a motion capture suit
Himself?
running, playing
Just imagine him like
running, playing
That's
the
what
creature.
he was telling me. He was explaining it to me, and he was like, "Dude, just imagine watching a movie, and then it cuts to a scene where John Krasinski's in
In
a
a,
motion picture suit with
like
all
a
the
black
balls,
black
all the
morph
balls
suit
everywhere.
with all the balls all around him,
and
just running, being like, "Whoa!" Like that's hilarious.
I think,
It
and I
is.
said I feel like John Krasinski would be the person to mess around with people with it on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
true. There'd be no sense of terror there seeing a guy in
Yeah.
a motion picture suit
Yeah.
or motion capture.
Yeah, speaking of actually John and the actress that played Regan, Millicent, she's the one that actually made the suggestion that made John Krasinski cry on set, and it becomes an important part of the script. Originally, whenever Lee sacrifices himself, the original script was supposed to be just him signing "I love you." However, she suggested that he should say "I've always loved you" at the end, and that made John cry. And then they put it in after.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
is the perfect thing to say.
Yeah,
Well, yeah, and it's because she has that guilt. you know?
yeah, yeah. And then it's kind of crazy looking at the success of the film because John Krasinski almost turned the film down to work on Jack Ryan, and he ended up not doing it because producers came to him and asked him if he'd be interested in a horror film, and his response was that he didn't do horror. But whenever he was presented with the premise of the film, they approached him and said, "This movie's going to be about a family that can't make any noise, and you have to figure out why." That premise made him jump on board almost immediately, and once he signed on to do the acting, he also said, I want to direct this as well. And then cast my wife in it as well. I think she'd be great for
All
it.
my homies eating.
Yeah.
Isn't that wild?
Yeah.
Dude, that means
Casting your
that
wife.
means that money that they got stays in the family, bro.
Yeah, seriously.
Mm-hmm. They're both
They're
They're
eating
both
good.
running in the dough.
Yeah. And the last thing that I had here actually was, it kind of threw me for a loop a little bit, but it makes sense as to why it was done. But the opening sequence was the last thing to be shot for the film
Yeah, I thought that was pretty cool.
because it required John Krasinski to shave most of his beard.
Oh, that's how. I thought it was
the
the other way
beginning.
around. Like he did that scene and then they had to just wait for it to grow.
No. So he grew it out. They shot most of everything for the film right then and there, and then they shot the opening sequence last so that way they could take some of it down. And I had even seen something too that I think the film was made or everything was shot within like 30 days.
Yeah, it was shot in 36 days.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that is wild.
That's about it for facts for me though.
Yeah, me as well.
Yeah, that's it for me too.
Okay. What didn't work for this film?
I really don't got anything.
No.
If you want my honest opinion, I don't have anything. I enjoyed
Okay.
this movie. I knew what I was going into, and I knew what to expect. But it wasn't bad. There was nothing that I did not like with this movie, and it kept my eyes to the screen.
Yeah, there was one. It's not anything bad. Maybe even nitpicky, you could call it. But it's. I always think to myself, like, if the monsters are so good at hearing, like, how come they just couldn't hear your heart beating, or couldn't hear you go like
Yeah.
what? Even
That's
when they're
nitty.
like super close to you,
What decibel can they hear?
right? Or like, how come they can't hear like the?
Yeah.
I would think that's a dead giveaway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there are some things they can and can't hear. So I'm not saying it's anything bad. There was just a question I had about, what are their limits and all that stuff.
Yeah, definitely. I think the only thing for me was in the most like heart-wrenching part of the film that made me cry. I couldn't help but kind of chuckle at John Krasinski's like yell
Scream.
that he lets out. Just because the way he does it kind of reminds me of that infamous clip of that guy in Intervention going, yeah. And like, I don't know, whenever I think about yelling to get someone's attention or something like that, like he almost does it out of a like a pain, like anguish type yell. And I think more of it would be like a rage induced type yell to get somebody to come to you. Like I'm thinking like from the bottom of your belly, like like screaming,
like Northwood.
like I'm thinking like Kratos yell,
Oh yeah.
like, and not like a like the
Yeah,
way-
I feel like the thing to do is like yelling "hey," because when you yell "hey" with a lot of force, yeah, like really, and I feel like
Yeah.
that might be a better yell even for
Yeah.
that.
I wonder why he decided to do that one, or how many takes it took to get to that.
I don't know.
You
He
just
probably
laugh.
experimented with a couple of them.
Yeah.
And that's the one that they landed on. But yeah, I don't know. It kind of like it was emotional, and it's the scene still makes me cry. But there's points where I watch him yell, and I'm kind of like, you couldn't do a better one, you know?
retake that. Redo that.
Yeah. And he's the director too, so he was like, all right, that was good,
Yeah, he
Like-
chose it.
you know?
Fair.
So
That's
that's
fair.
about it for me though. It's nothing like in regards to the story or the way the movie's shot or anything like that. Total nitpick. So
Yeah.
All right. Anything else for what did work or didn't work?
No,
Mm-mm.
man.
Then let's move into what did work. I think it goes without saying, writing here is excellent.
The writing's
Phenomenal.
phenomenal.
It is
is
really
so
good.
It's so smart.
Yes.
It's so thought provoking. It's so like simple but to the point. Held so much emotion,
Mhm.
and it was all through very very short words or like actually sign languaging to each other.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Yeah, one of the things that I really enjoy about the film is that it relies so heavily on its visual storytelling.
Yes.
Rather than putting bank into auditory dialogue and relying on the fact that we have to hear people talk to understand a story.
Mm.
And this movie takes that concept and totally flips it upside down and says, what if nobody talked almost? And like, would we still be able to make a compelling movie that way? And they prove that theory to be correct here. I think that the writing is, like you had said, not only really smart, but is also just incredibly compelling. And it's done with only 35 lines of spoken dialogue.
That is wild.
So
Yeah, I'd even have to give credit to the cinematography here too. Like, I think of the scene where he's standing on top of that fire pit and it's so dark, and then he sits there and the fire lights up on him, and just the body language that he has, the facial expressions he's displaying, it's like despair, longing. It's got all of these different characteristics that he's not even moving, but the way that the camera and the lighting and the way he's framed and just his positioning is like, it just gives me all I need.
Yeah.
To analyze it myself naturally.
Yeah. And I think that only speaks to just the terrific acting that's on display here. From all the cast members.
Dude, it's so good.
Yeah, like I even really enjoy the performances from the children. And I think that they really do a good job of
They
selling.
feel like a family.
Yeah, they do a good job of selling their reactions too.
Yeah, that was a question I wanted to ask you, because I know you're not a big fan of child actors.
They're good. They're good.
And even the one that dies?
He's barely in it.
Yeah.
I felt bad for him. He's dead.
Yeah.
They are good, man. They sell it, their roles perfectly to me.
Mm-hmm.
I respect it.
Yeah, the acting in general, dude. Freaking Emily Blunt. I love the scene. It's so subtle when she's talking about like they're like in school session or whatever, and Marcus is like, I don't want to go. I'm not gonna go. And she's like, you have to go. Your dad has to teach you these things, because when I'm all old and have no teeth, and she goes, yeah. And they're for no reason, because it just makes them laugh. It's like livening the tension but it just feels like that's what a mom would do, to get her son to be happy and got gray hair. It just felt so genuine.
Definitely.
And it's all because of her portrayal and her acting.
Yeah, definitely. I also got to say, sound design is incredible.
Yeah.
And just the use of atmosphere in this film is really good.
This has to be one of the best movies, I think, in my opinion, to use, and that I've seen, I think, to use sound for a creature of this sort, of that ensues. What am I saying? That gives you fear, and the way they make it work, I would be scared. This is basically, what's it called? The Warden.
In Minecraft?
Tell me it's not.
Here
Tell me it's not.
The little, when it like goes to the little spawner thing.
He hears you and runs towards you.
Yeah.
I mean, he can. I don't think, and he can't see.
Can he not see?
No, the Warden can't see. That's why it goes dark.
That's why he make us go dark?
Yeah,
What?
I'm pretty sure.
You gotta talk to Notch about that one.
Yeah.
I don't know.
What
Maybe
the
I'm wrong.
heck?
But like,
don't know.
it's basically the same. I would say.
Okay.
Same fear. I'd be
Same fear. I'm my pants are brown instead of my booty hole.
Yeah.
My pants are brown.
My booty hole brown.
I hate you for that one. Oh, now I want to sing the rest of it. No, the sound wins it for me for the decision to show.
I think it should have won an Oscar for the sound.
To show the audio through Reagan's point of view.
Yeah.
I think that is absolutely genius.
Yeah.
To give us a sense of her perspective.
Definitely.
And it's something so critical.
Yeah. I think it's done in a way that kind of reminds me of like Sound of Metal.
Yeah.
Where
You
we
get some too.
Yeah, where we get perspective shots of, Homeboy and what he hears whenever he gets the cochlear implants and what he hears without them and all of that stuff. And it's a really good way to immerse your audience into what these people are feeling.
Yeah.
So
Dang, I went to check the Oscars to see who it went against, and it went against Bohemian Rhapsody, Black Panther, First Man, A Quiet Place, and Roma. And Bohemian Rhapsody won
for sound editing.
for sound editing.
Interesting.
Fair.
Crazy. Yeah, fair. We watched that in theaters too.
I know. I remember that. That was wild.
I still never seen that movie.
Really?
No.
It's pretty good, I think.
Rami Malek.
With the
What an
freaking-
actor.
With the buck teeth.
Yeah. What an actor though. He's great.
Yeah. All right, who wins this movie?
John Krasinski.
I'm saying Emily
I was gonna
Blunt.
say Emily Blunt.
Emily Blunt to me. When I think of this movie, I think of her giving
Her
birth.
going-
I mean, yeah.
Yeah,
Definitely. Yeah. That's my.
I respect it.
all right. What are some themes here? Be quiet.
Be quiet.
That's it.
Yeah, I didn't know any like underlying message, or
Family.
theme. You know, like maybe adapt and overcome.
Yeah.
Should I
You know,
chat
obviously-
GPT this or what?
No, don't chat GPT.
No.
I already pulled it up.
Take
It's okay.
Take this section out. Oh
Yeah.
gosh, it's gonna be like.
It says
There are
here,
themes
the
of-
film
of
explores the
loneliness.
challenges and sacrifices a family must to make the survival surroundings. It also delves into themes of family, communication, and the lengths people will go to protect their loved ones in a world where silence is a matter of life and death.
Yeah.
Thanks, robot.
We said all that.
Yeah.
It is. I mean, it's seriously. It's literally just. Yeah.
Be quiet.
Be quiet. You know,
Shut up.
adapt to your environment and love your people.
Yep.
Tell your people you love them.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
a
Quite
fact.
literally. All right, if that's it for the themes, what are we rating this?
Ooh.
I'll go first, and I'm giving it an 8.5.
8.5.
Okay.
All right.
I'm giving this one a 9. I enjoyed it that much that it is really high up there. This is one that I will definitely return to later.
Okay. I think I'm going to give it a 9 as well. I don't understand why it took me so long to rewatch it, if I'm honest with you. Because the film is great.
Yeah.
And while I was watching it the entire time, I was like, man, why didn't I ever come back to this sooner? Or why did I let myself forget about this? And I had the same thing happen to me with Spider-Man and the first animated one.
Oh, Into the Spider-Verse?
Yeah,
Into the Spider-Verse.
That's
I remember watching it the first time and like it not having an effect on me. And then watching it again years later and crying and being like, how did I not feel this way, the way that I do about the film now, the first time I watched it? Like that movie's a 10 out of 10 for me.
Oh yeah.
Like, and I don't understand why I didn't think that the first time I watched it. It took a rewatch and maybe some time and maybe the certain context with within how I watched it and all that stuff too. But, yeah, I gotta say, film's a 9 as well for
All
me.
right.
So, all right, if that's it, that's the end of the podcast, you guys. So if you stuck all the way to the end, we appreciate you. If you're watching on YouTube, leave us a like, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell notification as well as leaving a comment on the channel. Let us know what you're thinking of the episodes. Do you love them? Do you hate them? What would you change? What would you suggest? Shoot us movie recommendations maybe through there, or you can also do that through the audio platforms that we post our podcasts on, whether that be Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or Google. We get all those information through rate and reviews. So if you want to rate and review the podcast on those platforms as well, that would help us out immensely. If you don't want to reach out to us via such a public platform, you can click into our episode descriptions and reach out to us either via our Instagram, our Letterboxd accounts, or our email, and let us know what you're thinking through those platforms as well. So without further ado, we're going to reveal the next pick for next week, which is Abe's.
Yes, sir.
What are we
And
watching?
I'm going to take you guys back to our childhood a little bit. And we're going to watch an animated film. And we are going to watch the 2006 movie Monster House.
All right.
And I feel like that's I think it's a classic in my eyes. Because I feel like everybody has seen this movie and has a spot in this movie in their heart.
I feel like I could probably tell you the whole movie right now. Like with how much I watched this movie as a kid. Like, I'm not joking.
I'm excited then.
I'm excited too. It's
And
been a long time since I've watched
It's
this.
been a cool minute since I've seen this movie. And it is streaming, so which is pretty cool. It's streaming on Hulu.
All right.
So if you do have Hulu, check it out. But I'm super excited. And it kind of blows my mind. I'm reading a little bit about it. This movie came out in the middle of summer
Nowhere close.
Yeah.
to
Nowhere
Halloween.
close.
It's like a
Halloween.
release date of like July 21st.
Yeah, something like that.
like that.
Yeah, and it's
Maybe to build the anticipation for Halloween. I
Yeah.
don't know.
but yeah, this is the movie I'm choosing. Not too long a movie, and I think it'll be good to return back to it.
yeah, anytime I think of this movie, I just think of Mr. Nevercracker. And like it had such an effect on my life where like we would as kids we would encounter neighbors that were like old and crabby.
Yeah.
And me and my brothers would be like, "Oh, that's Mr. and Mrs. Nevercracker."
Yeah.
Like it's still to
That's
this day.
dirty.
Like we reference people like that. That's crazy, huh?
We
Like,
go past that house by the bay.
Yeah,
and you
yeah,
see
yeah,
that
yeah.
house, and you said, "Dude, that's freaking Monster
By
House
the
right
bay.
there." Yeah, going by.
I think out towards Avenue 9, like going towards Valley Children's. There's a house
Is
that
there?
looks exactly like the Monster House. Like it looks like it's got eyes. It's got the porch that looks like the mouth. Like
On
all that
Avenue
stuff.
9.
Yes.
Which side?
Um,
Say I'm going towards Fresno.
It'd be on your left.
On my left, on this side.
It's pink. If you saw it and I pointed it out to you, you'd be like, oh, "Dude,
that's Monster House.
that's yeah, that's
there are
freaking-
houses that look
that's
like
freaking. What's her name?
Mario.
It's
No.
not
that.
Mariel.
No,
Not?
it's like
That's-
Constance or something.
Yeah. Yes, Constance.
That's
Mariel's Courage the Cowardly Dog, dude.
he doesn't know this movie.
Yeah, it's Constance.
Yes.
Constance.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm excited. I haven't seen this movie in quite a
And
while.
there's some people in here who are like funny, like
Iconic.
Mitchell Musso,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speak of the freaking cast, dude. That's crazy.
Kevin James,
Yeah.
Nick
You
Cannon.
gotta do the meme. Yeah.
I'm excited.
All right. Well, tune in next week to hear what we have to say about Monster House. As always, this has been the Film Bros Podcast. Thank you and good night.
Good night.
Good night.